So, Olena Andreevna, I suggest starting, right?
Agree.
It's 3 p.m. sharp, so we have the right to start. So, hello everyone. We are going to start our second webinar. Let me share my screen, and we have a little interactive activity while we are waiting for everyone who is going to be late. So, look at the picture here. The question is, how sharp are your noticing skills? So, if you have ever wondered whether you are good at noticing things, we can take this test now. The task is to find the zebra hiding among the giraffes. So, you have 10 seconds to do that. 10 seconds for you to find the zebra. Raise your hand if you have finished. If you know where the zebra is hiding. Okay, Anna was the first, then Olena. Yeah. Let's wait for others. Yeah, Darina. Okay, Valeria. Yeah. Okay. So, here are the results. Actually, the task is really quick. If you found it instantly and in a second I'm going to show where it is really hiding, then you're either a genius or secretly a zebra yourself. If it took you about 5 seconds, nice, you're on the way to becoming a noticing master, and our webinars will help you do that. So if it took you around 10 seconds to find a zebra, not bad, but those giraffes clearly distracted you, a lot. Stay focused. And if you are still looking for the zebra, then the zebra here is judging you silently, so keep going. But unfortunately, we don't have so much time. Yes, that is why you are going to sit here. Okay. So if you found the zebra in no time, then you're just very, very good at noticing. So let's start. Today we have our second webinar, Make It Stick, from first encounter to confident use in our series, Vocabulary and Grammar from Noticing to Long-Term Memory. I would like to remind everyone that all the webinars are conducted in our Skovroda Hub, that is our regional center of blended education in Kharkiv National Pedagogical University. And again, I'm going to share all the links with you, and you will find the links to our YouTube channel and to our page on the internet. You know the speakers, Olena Chehratova and me, Olena Chухно. And let me start webinar 2. So what we're going to do today, that is our agenda. We're going to start with a little webinar 1 quiz, just to understand whether you were really there and whether you remember what we were speaking about on Monday. After that, we're going to explore one of the approaches to noticing instruction, which I called pre-selected noticing and practice. After that, we're going to focus on the second approach, which again I called self-selected noticing and practice. Then Olena Andreevna will present a set of new tools that will help our learners and us to practice vocabulary and grammar that we noticed somewhere in the input. And we're going to finish with a little fun wrap-up activity. So let's start with a quiz. You are going to have 5 questions, 50 seconds for each question, and here is the first one. You can type in the answer in the chat. So Richard Schmidt is famous for his magic acquisition theory, noticing hypothesis, ignoring principle, or passive exposure myth. Hannah, okay, Anna, B, okay. Any other answers? B? Yeah, okay. I'm glad that, so you, actually, let's check. So noticing hypothesis, and that is the correct answer. So my congratulations. Let's go on. The second one, so a student is trying to focus on the teacher's explanation of the new rule and on the fly on the wall. What type of attention is the learner using? Selective, divided, or sustained? So focusing on two things at one and the same time. Teacher's explanation and the fly on the wall. A, B, or C? Okay. Yeah. B again. Yeah, right. Well done. So that is divided attention. Okay. Then the next question is here. So in the four-stage processing model, which stage is missing? Notice, detect the gap, something else, and infer. So is that coffee break, ask a friend, analyze, panic, A, B, or C? C or D? C, C, C. Okay, yeah, that is right. That is the stage of analysis. Yeah, number 4. So how can the teacher make a word or grammar structure salient? Salient, so it means to make it stand out, right? To make it noticeable. So the teacher can repeat it 27 times until students start hearing it in their dreams. Tell students this word will be on the test, and suddenly it becomes the most important word. Circle, underline, bold, emphasize, or hide all other words, and the problem will be solved. So I can say C. Right. So circle, underline, bold, emphasize. So we can see, we can use graphic means. Yeah, we can use our intonation and stress. That's right. And here is the last question. So what is noticing focused instruction? It's when the teacher notices everything students do wrong and writes it down somewhere. It's a method where students are expected to magically notice grammar just by staring at the text. It's when you highlight every single word in the text, so technically everything is important. Oh, that is an approach where the teacher helps learners consciously notice specific language features in input so they can understand and later use all that. Yeah. So, and again, you are right. That is the correct answer. Well done. So you rock it. Let's go on. So as I have promised, the first part of this webinar is the approach I called pre-selected noticing and practice. What does that mean? You can see the stages of this approach. So basically, the teacher prepares some input. It can be a text, it can be some audio, it can be a video. So whatever you want your students to read, listen to, or watch. And after that, the teacher select the target language. So it can be a grammar structure, it can be a set of vocabulary items we want our students to focus on. Then comes a key step. We make this language salient, and again, we help it stand out through highlighting, repetition, some guiding questions, so anything that helps our students to notice what we want them to notice. Then we guide students to detect the gap between what they know, and what they see or hear. And from there, so they begin to analyze and infer meaning or some rules. So only after that do we move to the final step. We create conditions for practice and production where students can actively use the new language. So if you look at this illustration, it perfectly depicts what we're doing right now. That is the CAT classroom. So it reminds us that just by asking our students to pay attention to something isn't enough. So we need to carefully design some tasks that direct their attention in meaningful ways. So overall, this stage is about being deliberate. We don't leave noticing to chance. We can say that we engineer this noticing ourselves. So I suggest trying that out together. So basically, I have created a set of activities logically sequenced just to illustrate how pre-selected noticing and practice may work in your class. So the first stage is comprehension. So you actually provide students with some kind of input. I have decided to take a text that is a part of an article about solitude. So, and let's imagine that we ask our students to read the text and to identify the main idea. So actually, they need to read the text, for the gist. We're not going to do that. We skip this stage, but as teachers, we should remember to do that in our classes because we do not want our students to focus only on the language, new grammar and vocabulary. Yeah, we want them to work with the language communicatively as well. The second stage. So in the second stage, which I called pronunciation, if we deal with vocabulary, it is really important for students to hear the correct pronunciation of this or that word. Basically, it can consist of two steps. In the first one, you can ask your students to read the text and listen to the text. So read and listen, and in a minute we're going to do that. And you ask them to pay attention to the pronunciation of the highlighted words. So what I want you to do now is to take a screenshot of this text, because I'm going to share another tab. You won't be able to see the text there. So take a screenshot. Listen, pay attention to the pronunciation of these words. Yeah. So let me share. Here we are. Okay, I'm going to return to the text and we will see the next step. So let's imagine our students listen to the text, and focused on the words that are underlined or highlighted in our case. So what can you ask them to do next is as follows. So read the words out loud. Yeah, they can do that in turn. And as for other students, for them not to waste time, they can listen to their group mates or classmates reading the words. They can clap once, if they hear a mistake, and they can correct this mistake by modeling correct pronunciation. So again, you do not need like a separate list of words. They can see the words in the text. What they do is just read the words out loud and correct one another if it is necessary. If they have any problems with that, so you can always help them to do that as the teacher. Does anyone want to do that? To pronounce the words? You heard them all. So if you really want, we can do that together. Or we can skip this stage if you're a bit afraid. Okay, then we will skip this stage. So let's go on. That is the second. Then here comes the stage of detecting the gap, analyzing, and inference. So again, you provide them with the text, with the highlighted words, and basically you can just give them a set of questions they can use to detect the gap between what they already know and what they want to know about the word, to analyze. For example, so do I recognize any part of the word? If we take the word survivalist, so probably they will understand that it is a derivative from survive, that ist, the suffix, is used for people, so it is not difficult to guess what this word means. The same with enlightenment, so it is very easy to guess. So light, enlighten, enlightenment, it won't be difficult to do. Again, analyze what part of speech it is, what the phrase consists of, what the morphological composition tells me about the word, what I can infer from the context about the meaning of the word. As for the context, here we have a perfect example, I would say, with aromatism. So you even have the explanation of this word here, no need to look it up somewhere in the dictionary. So the act of withdrawing from the world to live in solitude. And the final sub-stage here is our inference. So students best guess at the meaning. Students share their ideas with others. So if they have problems, again, you can ask them to look the words up in somewhere in the dictionary, or you can help them yourself if needed. So that is the noticing stage, and the stage of analysis, processing the meaning of the structure, so the meaning of the words. And then we have the stage of controlled and guided practice. So that is the stage where we use some drilling activities or semi-communicative activities. So the first one is here. That is a classic, I would say, matching activity. So students are going to match the words with their definitions, but to make it a bit more engaging, you can add like a creative twist to this activity. I have underlined this part in the instruction for you to pay attention to. So you can ask students to match each word to its definition, but there's a catch. One of the definitions is completely made up. So they need to find this definition, they need to find the imposter, and cross it out and add the correct definition. Actually, it will make them think a bit more, right? And again, you can ask them, you can allow them to use their dictionaries. Another drilling activity is here, just a standard gap fill activity. But again, so the first stage is a standard gap fill activity. But next, another creative twist to this drilling. You can ask them to look at sentences 1 and 7. So here 1 and 7. Both sentences use words from our list, but they describe quite different relationships with solitude. If you look at the first sentence, so it describes our positive attitude to solitude, some positive consequences. And in the seventh one, discomfort, silence, giving up something you thought you couldn't live without, right? So it's some illustration of the negative attitude to solitude. You actually ask them to think a bit, to speak up, and you turn this drilling activity into a more communicative practice, into an activity which develops higher order thinking skills in the second stage at least. Finally, activity 6. So another semi-controlled activity. So what we can do here is to ask our students to explain what each word means using at least 2 other words from the list. Like they can explain aromatism through solitude and enlightenment. They can explain enlightenment. Sorry, here we have a mistake. Through again solitude and living off the grid, and so on. So actually that is a perfect set of words in this text, that allows us to explain their meaning using some other words. So and it creates this situation where students use the words again and again in speaking. So that was the stage of controlled or guided practice, and the final stage is production. That is the stage when students are supposed to use the words they noticed in some communicative activities. So activity 7, here we have some questions for students to answer. Again, to create a more engaging activity, you can somehow categorize these questions, like the honest question, the philosophical question, the modern twist. You can ask them to choose the question they want to answer, to give them some choice. So it looks a bit more engaging than just a typical list of questions we can use in our traditional textbooks. Well, and activity 8 is a writing activity. This activity was actually generated with the help of Claude, which I like a lot. And I refined this activity after that. But again, in this writing activity, students are asked to write a review of some destination and lifestyles. They have some scaffolding here, which will help them to write 80 or 100 words review in no time. So that is actually the typical, I would say, traditional set of logically sequenced activities that we would use in our class if we pre-select some vocabulary for our students. I would like us to speak about the pluses and minuses of this approach. On the one hand, there are some clear limitations, I would say. So when the teacher chooses the language in advance, it can feel less personally relevant to learners. As a result, learners may have lower engagement because they are not always connecting to the material. It can also become like a one-size-fits-all approach where individual differences are ignored. What is more important, in my opinion, is that students may not develop noticing skills because actually they rely on the teacher to point everything out. However, there are also some advantages. So pre-selection is efficient, it is time-saving, which is crucial in our classrooms. We don't have much time to practice. It helps to reduce a cognitive load for our students, especially for lower level learners, because they, if you ask them to select the words themselves, they may feel overwhelmed. Teachers maintain better control over the learning process, and the teacher ensures that everything that is taught in class is actually frequent, useful, relevant, and level appropriate. Right? So again, some pluses and minuses, just as in any approach we use in our classes. Right, let's go on. So the second approach, which I called self-selected noticing and practice, is a bit more challenging, I would say. So here, the dynamic in the classroom shifts quite significantly. The teacher's role becomes more about facilitation than direction. As teachers, we still prepare the input, again, a text, a video, so whatever. We create conditions for practice and production, just like before, but we actually step back from deciding what exactly students should focus on. This responsibility now moves to the learners. So students notice and select the words or language items they personally want to learn, And this immediately increases relevance because they are choosing only those language items that matter to them. Then, just like in the previous stage, they detect the gap, they begin to analyze and infer meaning or patterns, but this time, this process is more learner-driven than teacher-driven. What is powerful here is that students are not only learning language, they're also developing the skill of learning how to learn. So they become more attentive, more independent, more responsible for their progress. Of course, this approach requires careful scaffolding. So without support, students again may feel unsure about what they focus on, but when this approach is used appropriately, so it can lead to deeper engagement and stronger noticing skills. So let's look at how we can actually realize that in our classes. You can see a 4-stage model of realizing this self-selected noticing and practice. So the first stage is sharing. Students share the language they have noticed. So words, phrases, grammar structures. In class, online, offline, you can do that through a word cloud. You can ask them to share the words in the chat. You can write them on the shared board. The key idea here is to move from individual noticing to a collective resource. So, and everyone will benefit from everyone else's discoveries. The final outcome of this stage is a common list of individually selected vocabulary items or grammar patterns. Step 2, meaning construction. So students work together to figure out what the language means. They together hypothesize, compare ideas, they negotiate meaning, they can help one another because some students may know the words that other students have selected. And in this case, the teacher's role is not to lead, but to support. So the teacher may confirm students' ideas, the teacher may correct students' ideas, add something where it is necessary. The stage of practicing and the stage of production are really complicated to organize because you can't prepare for the stages in advance. So the activities, I would say, are created on the spot. Because again, these activities are based on what students have noticed themselves in class. And in a minute, we're going to see how we actually can do that. As for the stage of production, the main aim is ownership. So students start using the language as their own, in communicative activities. So I will demonstrate some activities, some like universal activities that we can use at these stages with any vocabulary items actually your students choose. So the first activity is called hot seat definition. So in this case, a student sits with their back to the board. If it is an offline class, the teacher may write a word on the board and the class explains it without saying the word itself. So the student guesses the word. This activity requires no preparation. It can work with any word they notice. And this activity forces the class to paraphrase. So why not? True or false statements. So teacher or students make up a sentence using one of the words and the class decides if this is a correct sentence. For example, a survivalist prefers to order food online. So they will say that is false and they will correct the teacher. Again, no preparation is needed. Cover and recall. So students close or cover the text. The teacher can read a sentence from the passage they read or listened to with the target word. The teacher can replace this target word with a beep, with some pause, and students apply the word. So the original sentence is the clue, and students can draw on the context that they already know. And finally, finish my sentence. So the teacher can start a sentence with the target word and stop halfway. Students complete the sentence. For example, a person who lives off the grid probably doesn't. And so students provide different endings. And actually providing this given different endings broadens their understanding of the word. These are just 4 ideas what we can do at the practice stage, and all of them require no preparation, and they will work with any vocabulary items your students noticed. The next stage is the stage of production. Again, the activities are created on the spot. The teacher does not prepare anything. Let's look at these ideas. So the first one is ask me a question. So students themselves create at least one question each with one target word or structure and ask their classmates. If you want to increase your students' talking time, and you don't want to interfere in the discussion, so students can do that in turn. So the student who answers the question will be the next to ask somebody. Or another variant is when a student speaks until another student joins the conversation. So that can be a pretty long communicative practice without the interference of the teacher. The next activity is pass the word. So a group conversation where each person must use the target word once before the topic can change. So nobody actually decides on the topics in advance. They evolve naturally. The main condition is to use the word, right? Then live in the word. So quite an engaging activity. Each student is assigned a word and becomes this word for the whole activity. So they can only speak from the perspective of this word. Like, I'm solitude. We have this word in our text. People come to me when the world gets too loud, and so on. So quite a creative one. And again, communicative. The last idea, word auction. So each student secretly decides which word from the list they would most want in their life and which they would least want. And then they share and explain, and others challenge their choices. Well, and every challenge must use the word being discussed. Again, all the activities are communicative. All the activities, in all the activities, students should use the target vocabulary multiple times. So that is the 4-stage model of realizing self-selected noticing and practice. So, and again, let's discuss the pluses and minuses of this approach. On the left side, we have the real challenges. So it can feel unpredictable. You don't know in advance what language students will bring. So you are not prepared for this language as the teacher. It can be rather time-consuming, especially if you try to work with everything. Sometimes it leads to lower engagement if students feel lost or unsure. There's a risk of cognitive overload, so too much new language at once, and it is really hard to manage for the teacher. Really hard to manage and demanding. You might think that this approach is a bit chaotic. You're absolutely right. But if we look at the other side, then it might work quite well because there are a lot of benefits which are powerful. So students experience higher personal relevance. It is their language, not the teacher's language. This naturally leads to greater engagement. We also, as teachers, we also support learner autonomy because students start taking responsibility for what they learn. There's deeper processing. because they have noticed and selected the language themselves. So probably, yeah, it somehow attracted their attention. And what is really important, it allows for differentiation. So higher level students and lower level students can work at their own level. So the key question here is not probably whether we should use self-selected language or not, but how do we make it manageable while keeping the benefits? So that was the second approach, and my question to you here is, which one would you use in your class? So pre-selected noticing and practice, or self-selected noticing and practice? The second one is really challenging to realize. The first one is, teacher-friendly, I would say. So which one? Self-selected, when students select the language, yeah? Or pre-selected, and you can create all the activities in advance. So you're not scared what might happen in your class. Yulia has chosen the second one, self-selected.
Inna is here.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's also depend of the level of the class. So I think both of them could be used, but just for different children, different levels.
Yeah. So we need to consider the age of our students, probably the level, the aim of learning the language, right? So the younger the students are, then if we teach the primary school students, then which approach would you use? In primary school, Yulia? So the first one, pre-select.
The first one, for young learners, definitely the first one, But I like the second one.
Because again, it develops our students' autonomy, and it makes all the language more relevant, and students probably will be more engaged in our class because that is what they want to learn, but not what we impose in our class. Right. Okay. Thank you so much. And that is high time we started exploring some digital tools. Olena Andreevna, over to you again. So we're ready.
Okay. Thank you. Just a second. As usual, I will share the screen. So again, the point here is that sometimes it's a little bit complicated to find something that can correspond to all our goals, ideas, and so on and so forth. And you cannot see it. Or can you see it? Can you? Oh, you can see it. It's fine. So there are some ideas here that we are going to discover today. Again, we were trying to find something that shouldn't be repeated from the previous times and the next time, and leave something for the next time. So the first point here we are going to discuss is like concept check-in site, so to say, which is called Ansegarten. Basically, it's almost the same that you did at the beginning of our previous webinar, where you had to using a different app or different resource answer the questions, and then we all can see the answers. But this one, why it's a nice idea to use this one, it's very easy to navigate. First of all, you don't need to sign up here, which is kind of maybe a good thing. Although when you are trying to, they have the example when you want to see it. Where was the example? But the example is the same here. We are going to try it now, but here the example. So when somebody gives an answer, we can see all of the words here. It's very nice and cool. We know quite a lot of different resources that work like that. But when you are to create it, you just need to enter the topic, which is basically the question that you want to ask. And then almost everything here is optional. You don't need to, again, write your own email, as it is an optional thing. They can send it to you. You don't need to, you only need to assign a password if you are planning to change it for at some point. But because it's easy to generate, like there will be only one question here, but because it's so easy to start with it, you don't actually need to start with this password and remember it, write it somewhere there, and so on and so forth. That is why we are going to try this one now. I have prepared a question. The question is, what makes a great teacher? And I'm going to send the link in the chat. So you click the link and type your answer. We'll see what we get. You can also, while creating, you can limit it to number of characters that you use. So you can use like 20 characters and so on and so forth and so on and so forth. 20 or 40 characters, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and then you will see the answer. So we can, has anyone sent the answers?
Yes, we have.
Yes.
Yep.
Why isn't it working? It was working when I tried it. Oh, yeah. So patience. It means that more people used word patience, like more than one person has thought about it. And we have flexibility and creativity. Good sleep. Good sleep is really important. Yeah. Let me phrase understanding. We also have still patience wins with this one. Still, while we are waiting, I like the answer of good sleep. It's just something so important for a teacher to be a good one. Yeah. The point of this tool is it takes you like 30 seconds of preparation, and that's it. And you don't need to overload your email with inbox letters, or you don't need to just overload your email with signing up for anything. And that's it. You just try it out for several times. You don't like it, you have forgotten where you stored that question, you just reload the page, type in the question again, and you can have fun with the answers. Oh, we have more now. Empathy works here several times. By the way, while creating it, you can use either capital letters or small letters, or the system won't pay attention to kinds of the letters. That is why it counts empathy and empathy with capital letters as two different words, because I didn't specify which answers I want. So we have inspiration is also like flexibility, patience, and inspiration works fine. Constant development, stress resilience. Yeah, so these are all very important things that maybe not only make a good teacher, but are necessary for a good teacher. Yeah. Oh, good salary. Yeah, now I don't even know which one is better, good salary or good sleep. Yeah. So the point is that it's very easy to use, and you can create it almost on the go. Apart or in comparison with some other resources that might be a little bit more complicated. Might be, but not necessarily. The next one we're going to discuss is the sentence building. it's for some reason it's called sentence building, but the point here is that you can create stories with the resources they give here. And you, again, you don't need to sign up, if I'm not mistaken. I already have the account, so you do need to sign up. Sorry, there were so many things where I tried to sign up. When you create, you can use something that has already been created, like the graphics and design of it. It's not the coolest thing ever, but it's quite easy to work with. Where was it? Yeah. So you can choose. I started with 1, so we will do number 2 now. The point is you can make your students, or you can do it by yourself as you wish. You can create some kind of a cartoon, whatever. We drag a picture of the town here, and in the next we will take, let's say, school, and we'll drag the picture of this particular school. You can even change some colors if you're interested in it, and then we'll take what we will take outdoors, and let's take something like beach. And with all of the pictures, then you can choose some characters. We are not interested in the character, changing the pose of the character, and then we can add some items. So let's do something like that. And we are going to talk, for example, about environmental protection and people throwing away their plastic bottles out of the roof of the building, whatever. But even if our students are given, for example, a list of the words, they can create some cartoon like that, which will play when you save it. And they can create the sentences and the stories with some kind of visual support. So you can give the task of building sentences, like here's the starters, and you continue with it. You can give the vocabulary list to continue with that. And you can create even some kind of, I don't know, searching for some object game, but in the way where students are to first build some sentences and produce whatever you're willing them to produce. So it is limited. The free option is limited to 3 cartoons, if I'm not mistaken, or to 3 things, but you can assign it to your students somehow, and you can assign it if you use, for example, Google Classroom. You can assign it via Google Classroom to your students, so they participate in this activity, create, and then they can even record the voice into this, let's call it cartoon. Not that many options, but if I'm not mistaken, you can even add some pictures on your own. So if you are not, if the number of the pictures that is given here is not enough, you can always add and create something on your own. And as I said somewhere at the beginning, the free, not free, almost free trial costs 41 grivnas. So I haven't checked how much how much it costs, but I don't think it's a very interesting resource to pay for everything. But you may have some fun with it. The next one will be about storytelling. I just jump from one tab to another. Just a second. When it starts working, I will show it to you. So one of them, I know some of the groups definitely used with Olena Anatolievna. It's just my a trial project with creating a book. I took whatever they had here. So you definitely need to sign up, but you can definitely assign students, and they can collaborate together on creating a book on specific topic. Why have I chosen this picture? Like, I was just choosing the picture from the library they had there, but you can add pictures. I had no pictures on my computer to add. That is why I had to work with what they provided. The point of this book was digital detox. So it's kind of digital detox. And when you work with this book together, when you have learned the vocabulary, have noticed the vocabulary, you can create different pages using like here you can add images, media, and so on and so forth. I guess if you start adding some media, it will be in a way limited to whatever can be used. But what have I done? You can, now here we have 3 pages, and if we want to work a lot of different options. There are templates, so you don't need to do everything on your own. You just where are these templates? Who knows? We have found them, so you can draw something or whatever. And while you're using templates, you can add all the necessary information you need, and then you share it. And the most important thing, I would say, that here you can add some text and even some symbols, whatever. The most important thing is that you can, your students will work collaboratively together, and using what they have already kind of noticed and maybe learned, they will be able to create some interesting story, maybe interesting story. Who knows how it will go. Something that is really close in meaning and idea is this resource called Storybird. So here again you need to sign up, and then you create your own story with some illustrations and text. The idea is again that people work together, they are trying to get some answer. Obviously it will take a little bit more time. It's like in comparison with when we give our students a task to create a story with 15 sentences using the vocabulary that they have already learned or whatever, it will take a little bit more time, but it might be a fun activity because it boosts creativity, boosts engagement. And if they have this creative skill, creative vibe, so to say, they can definitely work with this one together. That is the most important part about working together. And now we are going to discuss, just a second, let me close everything that we don't need to use anymore. Now we are going to talk about pronunciation practice. So some of, as I have already said at the beginning of my speech, some of these resources we have already covered once, but one is, I haven't actually decided whether it can be culturally offensive in a way, but it is a good way of practicing. So, but we will start with the easier options. The easier options is natural reader, where we can choose a person who, an AI person, if we can say so, who will read some text for us. And if we click the image of the person, we will understand how he or she speaks, whether we like it or we don't like it. And we can use different languages here. So if we like this person,
in recent years,
doesn't matter, the example. So this is a text that I am not sure whether I did you hear this? Oh yeah, you should hear the sound. This AI system can read this text for you if we press this button, and we can change the speed, we can add the text that we need, because that is the free version. We will have it limited. We won't be able to voice over, I don't know, a chapter from a book. And again, if it is a chapter from a book, we cannot be sure that it reads correctly, for example, the names or the geographical names or whatever. But it is a good way of practicing something or understanding. But first, the teacher has to understand whether it actually read the text correctly or not, because it is AI. Anything can happen. Then the next tool here. Oh, I shouldn't. Yeah, that also we have already talked about it, and you can have like interactive conversation. I'm not going to open it, but you have to believe me. You can have almost real conversation with an AI bot. It will be also limited to the number of responses and questions you get, but still it is a good way of practicing. But unfortunately, people will have to work like individually. You cannot work together on that one. And the third one here. Sorry, I pressed the wrong button. At first, I didn't find anything interesting here, because they were talking, like most of the parts here were about tones and people, like you can check whether you can hear different sounds, something like that. But then, when it starts actually working and my presentation starts, just a second, because you definitely need to see it. So here they have, you don't need to log in, register, nothing like that. So there are something like things that, like hearing test, and you can check how many, I guess, carrots you can hear. So pressing this button, which it's not interesting for us. The thing that is interesting for us is, where was it? It is voice generator. Yeah, and that was the point when I say that it is a good way of practicing different accents, and it can be a little bit culturally offensive, but yeah. So they have this text here. You can, as you can see here, you can change this text to whatever you want. We're not going to change it because we're just practicing it. So we can choose a person, like Eddie seems like an English name, yeah, and he will be from England. So we will listen to him reading.
Click the play button to hear this sentence spoken out loud.
Was it really good English person talking? Okay, the next one, something like that. Okay, did you understand any of the words? I understood word button. So it definitely meant that this AI-generated voice was reading from this particular text, or sometimes it's just a fun activity, or I found something like
Click the play button to hear this sentence.
Here I heard word sentence, for example. It does, so with some accents, so to say, you cannot use it on the go without practicing or understanding whether your students will actually understand something if you can understand only sentence or button, as in the previous example. But it can be a fun activity of understanding different ways of people pronouncing the words. So the ones I have chosen were creepish in a way, but you can find something that is okay. And if you are interested in reading a particular passage, it might be a nice idea of practicing or making your students listen to this amazing set of voices and people. As in the previous example, natural readers, although they have different names, they are representing kind of people with different nationalities, still they will be approximately the same. So the difference with this points of how different nations pronounce some of the words, they might not be considered there. Here, you're going to have fun with it. That is why it is kind of a nice activity to play. The next thing we are going to talk to offers us an opportunity, it's called here role play, to find some characters who will have a conversation with us. While it's been in the process, when you need to log in there, and for some reason it creates you some strange name and gives you some kind of suggestions. At the beginning, I thought that somebody used my email because it was something dark night, maybe not night, but something else. Then I checked it. I understood that no, I don't know why it has decided it has to be like that. And you cannot see it yet. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, I will restart. This is a nice one. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that is my name here. Yeah. The point is that you can find, it's called character AI, that is why you can find a character you want to have a discussion with, and this character has to somehow act out as this character. So it can be some kind of historical figure, maybe so on and so forth. So I was trying, as you can see, today was Florence Nightingale. Who knows who she was? No ideas. She was a well-known nurse back in several decades ago. So when you start this conversation with this person, it's very slow. It gives you like the background of this person. So she says here that she is considered to be the founder of modern nursing and worked during some war, and now we can have a discussion with it. And if we continue the discussion with these characters, this character is supposed to work kind of in this character. Basically, using different AI tools, you can do it with GPT or any other thing, but here it looks like a real texting stuff, yeah, and you can even call. I don't know whether it would or wouldn't work. I don't think it would, but still, it feels like a real life interaction if you can have this conversation with a real person from the past. Let's say they promote this resource as something for conversation with the people from the past, from important people from the past. Actually, you can search for whoever is here. You can create something like character on your own. But just when I was scrolling through those options, I saw Florence Nightingale, and I saw that it was like one of the historical figures people know, so it would make sense. But if we actually need it, we can create our own character, but in this case we will have to I wanted to do some sort of here what that for if you need to create this character, you will have to add some picture and then some kind of this character features, because then let's say your students will have to interact with this or that person, and it has to work in with some particular idea. But it can be like it can be a fun thing to do, and that is why we can call it a role play. The last two resources that we are going to discuss today here are just a second, close it. About the games that can be used. But because there are so many games, and we know a lot about different resources where you can generate or create or build up whatever a game, I have taken two that we haven't discussed yet. And the problem with a lot of different games, like let's say Kahoot, everyone knows Kahoot, but a lot of people are already a little bit sick and tired of it. There are some other resources where you can, which you can use for approximately the same reason as Kahoot. But what was surprising for me, that a lot of different game platforms I tried to use or tried to see how they work, they said that some of them stopped working. So maybe they are not that popular. That is why they don't need these storage spaces and so on and so forth. That is why only two ones to discuss. So the first one will be Bamboozle. Yeah, what do we know about Bamboozle? Okay, yeah. So, Julia?
Yeah, I love this one. You can play a lot of games with children. Mm-hmm. Not only with children, honestly, but mostly.
Yeah, if you play it with not children, but with adults or whatever, everyone likes having some kind of this competitive spirit. And plus, something can always go wrong. You can never be sure that you will win it out because you were doing a good job. So this part of competitive spirit is a nice one. So yeah, I thought that a lot of people know about it, not a lot of things to discuss. And the next one, I see my students here, but we played this game today because I was preparing for the thing. So here you can easily create these tables. Yeah, tables to play this game. What I liked about it. So basically, using the different sites like Genially we now use for our presentations, you can also create this game. But it's a little bit more complicated than creating, for example, in Genially than in this lab, because you don't need to register, you don't need to sign up, you just open it up. You need to create a password. That can be like a thing with pros and cons together, because if you can actually log in here and use it, because if you create it, you want to use it for a long time, for the next 10 years to come. When you basically start doing this puzzle, you have to create a name for it. Today is the name for creating password. No, I don't want any complicated things. And then I will forget that password and so on and so forth. So you just press the button, add the text, click it, write your question and the response and so on and so forth. You can have not as many categories as they have here. You can delete some, so you want to have 3 categories. Or you can add more rows or more categories as you wish. And then you will have a more intense game. But basically, that's it. That's all you need. You add this text, copy this text, and your game is ready. So as an example, I want to show you the game that is ready. And when you start, after you have finished with the game and you started, you can have like the number of teams. It can be individual play, 2 teams, 5 teams, 10 teams, so on and so forth. And when we play this game and somebody chooses the question, we read the question, we look at the answer here, and the first team wins these points. You don't need to calculate the points by yourself because you just press plus and it adds the number of points we had when we have chosen this option. And then when we choose the next question and the team answers correctly, we will add different. So you can see that they add different number of points according to the system that worked. But if we choose a question and team doesn't answer, like we can use, oh, we haven't used this minus points with my group today. So that is a good idea. You can plus and minus the points and see how it goes, who wins this thing. That's what I liked about it. As I said, there are a lot of different resources. It is very easy to work with and very easy to generate. So the most difficult thing that you have to have actually the questions. But if you have the questions, it will take you 10 minutes to complete this fun activity, and then you will have fun. I think it's better if you work with 3 teams or something like that, because when we were playing, unfortunately, I don't know, we drew even because the teams calculated how many points they had to take in order to win this game. But this is kind of the idea that you can do it really quickly. And here it is again. With these activities, I guess that is all. The one of the most important criteria for choosing all of them is that you don't need to use a lot of time to prepare them if you have the material, and it can work really fast for you, and we can have some kind of nice engaging activities almost on the go. Yeah, and that is it with my part.
Mm-hmm. Olena Andreevna, thanks a bunch again for all the tools you have selected for us, because actually, I understand how much time it took Olena Andreevna to prepare everything. Yeah, but we are now able to use all these tools in our teaching and learning. I wish there were 30 hours, or maybe 35 hours a day to try all of them. Well, my dear, I'm going to share my presentation, and we're going to finish with a quick wrap-up. So, another question for you, what, after this webinar, the second webinar, so what would you really like to see your students doing? Notice, forget, panic, Google it again. Notice, understand, practice, actually use it like a legend. Read, reread, stare into the distance, hope your brain figures it out. Highlight, admire, and move on. So A, B, C, and D. B. Yes, okay, thank you so much. Plus add online tools. Yeah, we need to add to the practice stage all these online tools that Olena Andreevna presented. Thank you so much. So we are very happy to have you here. Thank you today, and we are really looking forward to our third webinar on Friday. Again, invite your friends, family, students, pets, anyone who wants to join us. Will be really, really glad to spend some time with you on Friday. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, please ask. Yeah. If you don't, then see you on Friday. Thanks for joining.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.